Hi everyone, welcome to part one. In this video, we're going to jump right in and create an adorable backpack using the Mish Designs Heading to Grandma's Backpack pattern. So you're going to want to go ahead and get the pattern, print it out, and then look over the fabrics and supplies that you have and the things that you're going to need. I'm going to be using the Malibu Barbie merch kit. It's from our pop culture collection. It's super cute. The fabric is so fun, very vibrant and covered with little icons that are Barbie themed all over the fabric. The scale is great. It's perfect for a project like this. So as you're thinking through what you might want to do, there's tons of fabric out there like this. If you like Star Wars, if you like Hello Kitty, you can look around and you can find it's a standard quilting cotton to use to make a backpack themed with whatever sort of fan your doll or your character is. So I'm ready to go, so let's jump on in and I'm going to walk you through the process of making this bag. So here is the backpack. Adorable. You can see this one is all sewn up. We've got the straps, functional zipper, cute little front pocket. And this here is the kit. You can see that this kit includes everything to make both the backpack and a cute little coordinating jacket. So there's enough stuff in here to make both items. We're going to use the kit and make just the backpack. So let's take out the items here from the kit. We have fabric. The lining I'm going to set aside. That's for the jacket. We have the notions here. These are the jacket notions, and then this is the notions here for the backpack. So we have the fabric, and as you can see, this is that print. Super adorable. We've got making waves, Barbie, Malibu. It's so cute. We have fusible interfacing, that mesh here for this front pocket, a dark pink zipper, the twill tape here for the straps, and two little metal parachute buckles. And you can see here how these pop apart. So you can clip those straps. The twill tape or ribbon or bias tape would go through these edges. So we have all the pieces we need here to sew up the backpack. And then we have the pattern pieces already cut out. We have the front and back, which we're going to cut to of just the fabric. We have the side bottom cut to, and we have the base of the backpack, which is just cut one. I cut my own piece here for the backpack size. The measurements are in the pattern, and the mesh here is already pre-cut, but we do also have a piece. We just cut out a piece of paper that's the size mentioned in the pattern to make sure we have this cut exactly right, and that is for the front pocket. When you have a print fabric, you're really going to want to think about how you position it on the print to have things exactly where you want them once it is all sewn up. So we have grain lines here on the pattern. This print is going in all directions. Certain words are right side up, upside down, sideways, and the selvage is here, so the grain is going up and down. But I do feel like you want to take into account what you got going on the print and position it how you want. So if you really wanted it to say make waves right in the center front of the backpack, you would turn it sideways, and you can do that, and it'll work fine for this type of fabric. So for this design, this is the front and the back. That pocket is going to cover that lower section. So again, this will be the most prominent part on the front of the backpack up here at the top. The side pieces are going to wrap around, and the side bottom will be down at the base, connecting to the base in the front and the back. So if you have a print that could be cut on the bias, those side pieces could add some design interest that way as well. So there's a lot of ways to be creative with the type of fabric that you've picked. Now I've just finished cutting out my pieces. I have the front and back, the two sides, the base and the two side bottom pieces, and I just wanted you to see how much fabric is left from that fat quarter. So you really don't need very much fabric to make this backpack. Now if you're using a quilting cotton and you want to do the fusible interfacing to give it some structure, we could have ironed this right to the fabric and then cut it out. It probably would have been a little bit more efficient. But since I already have things cut out here, I'm just going to go ahead and cut out a set of pieces using this fusible interfacing. Now that I have them cut out, I'm just going to trim them down a little bit so they come inside the seam allowance. It'll make the seams less bulky, but it'll still give structure to the body of the bag. Now we're prepped and ready to apply that fusible interfacing. We have the piece of fabric wrong side up. The fusible interfacing has a textured side. That's all the glue. That's going to go down against the wrong side of the fabric, just like so. Using some steam, we're going to press this, and the steam really helps all of it to adhere. You'll want to follow the manufacturer's instructions that come with the fusible interfacing, but this method works pretty good. So we'll flip it over and just go ahead and press 10 or 15 seconds here from the other side. If your fabric seems rather delicate, you don't want to iron right on it, you could use a press cloth. And here we have that nicely adhered, and we're just going to repeat that for the other front or back of the backpack, and then the smaller pieces as well. For the top of the mesh pocket, we're cutting a piece of bias cut fabric that is 4.5 inches long here, and it's going to end up having the edges turned under, and it will just cover the top edge of that mesh just to give it a little bit of structure. Then we take our piece of twill tape here. This is 3/8 inch wide. We're going to cut one piece at 3 inches, two pieces at 4 inches, and then two pieces at 5.5 inches. As we start the backpack, we're going to do the zipper first. We have the zipper here, closed end zipper, and the two pieces here. These are the sides. One is going to go on each side of the zipper. I'm also going to add here that I will be using 1/8 inch wide double-sided basting tape for a lot of the different parts of this project. I love this stuff. You should always have it on hand as you're sewing. So what we're going to do here is work one side at a time. We're going to turn the zipper upside down and place it right along the edge of this piece of fabric. You can pin this down, or you can run a piece of double-sided basting tape right along this tape. Peel off the paper backing and just set that right on there. I have the tape towards the raw edge here, as close to the edge of the zipper tape as I can get, so that I can stitch close to the zipper foot and not have to stitch through the tape itself. But you can see that holds that down securely, so I don't need to be using any pins. So I'm just going to go ahead and stitch along this side. Then we're going to flip this back and fold it open, press the fabric, and then we'll top stitch right along this edge. Then you're going to repeat that process for the second side. So here we have the zipper stitched in. Now we're going to do the two side pieces. They fit along here, lining up with the width of that. So we can trim off the zipper tape now, or we can trim it off after. On this end here, I've gone ahead and just trimmed it off. We're going to set this down right sides together, and we're going to stitch right across here with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, which will come just right to the inside of the end of the zipper here. And then that is going to fold back, and we're going to top stitch here. We're going to do the same thing on the opposite end, but this is where the end of the zipper is. So what we're going to need to do is unzip the zipper so that the zipper pull is out of the way. Make sure that this is lined up smoothly. We're going to bring this over and set it down, right sides together. And from the inside, you're just going to want to make sure that you have that right next to each other so that it stays lined up. You can go ahead and pin or clip these two sides, and we're going to sew straight across the top edge of the zipper as well. Now we're going to put the pocket on top of the front of the backpack. So to do that, we simply just set this right on top, and then we can base this down around the 3 bottom sides. Then to prepare the back of the backpack, we're going to bring in the 3-inch piece of trim. It's going to be stitched down just off center. That's going to flip around here, and it will create a loop right here on the back top edge of the bag. That is creating this loop right here. And remember, part of this is going to get caught in the seam allowance. You can make an adjustment here if it seems like your loop is too big and trim off the excess, but you're just going to base this down right here along the top edge of the bag. Now we're going to work on the straps. We have the 2 longer 5.5-inch pieces and the 2 4-inch pieces, so this goes in pairs. We're going to take one of the 5.5-inch pieces. You're going to slide your trim through the end here, fold it back 1/2 inch. You can use double-sided basting tape or a pin, and you're just going to stitch back and forth here to secure. Repeat that for the second strap. Then you're going to bring in the smaller of the pieces here. This is the 4-inch piece. It's going to come in through the buckle. The buckle has 2 slots right here. We're going to slide that in through the one closest to the edge of the buckle here, and then fold it through so it comes through the second slot. Like so. So that makes it nice and tight. Now we're going to set this down, and you want the whole strap to be 8.5 inches in length. And you'll make the adjustment down here. So we'll pull this until we're at 8.5 inches. And then we're going to secure and stitch down this second side of the strap. And then you're going to repeat that process for the second strap. Okay, now we're going to attach the straps to the back of the backpack. So we have the strap with the long side up towards the top here. It's going to go right next to this little loop. And you're going to base that down both sides, and then on the bottom you're just going to lift it up so that the bottom edge here is down at the bottom edge out towards the side here, 1/2 inch from the outside edge, and then you're going to do the same thing on the bottom, so it's kind of at a little bit of a diagonal, and then baste those on both ends. Now we're going to bring in this whole zipper piece and attach it to the back of the backpack. So I'm just going to first cut some slits along this edge so that it is easier to turn here, especially as we hit these curves. So I'm just placing it on here and starting about right here. I'm going to want to have some slits, and remember not to cut into the seam allowance. So don't trim past like 1/4 inch, and then that's going to help that spread around that corner there, and around the top, and all the way to the other side. I'm also going to mark the middle right here, the little notch. This is just going to make it easier for me to position. So right here, we definitely want the middle at the middle, and we'll pin, and we want the end at the end, and we're going to want to fit this curve here to the curve as we stitch it around. And then we'll continue and do the same thing on the opposite side. Pull this all the way down to the end. And then we'll fit it in here around the curve. So there we have that stitched down. It's nice and smooth around the curve. You can finish this with a zigzag or run this through your serger so you have a clean interior edge, or even cover it with a like bias tape or Hong Kong binding to give it a cute look on the inside. But you'll see here once we turn it right side out, then this is beginning to look like a backpack. So we've got the little hook at the top, we've got straps for the shoulders that come down here to the bottom. Then we're going to repeat that process with the front of the bag. So go ahead and clip into this seam allowance again and line this up and stitch around to attach the front of the bag. Now we're at the final step here. We have the base of the bag, which is a rectangle, and we're going to fit that into the rectangle at the bottom of the bag. First, we want to come in and unzip this zipper so that we can easily turn it right side out at the end. Make sure that you have your straps up out of the way. If you want, you could come in and pin them way up at the top or clip it so that they don't dangle down and get caught in your stitching. Then we're going to take this with the right side down so it's right sides together, and we're going to match up the raw edges here. So we'll just pin that down. Like so. You're going to want to make sure that this comes into the corners nicely and turns for the side. Pinning that down. And then across the other long edge. And then the final short edge. And then you're just going to carefully maneuver that around as you stitch along all four sides. And again, we'll turn it right side out from the top. Okay, so we've got this stitched down. Now it was a little tricky to get into the corners, so I kind of back stitched before I got there so that I could easily rotate around. We're just going to go ahead and trim down all of these seam allowances and kind of clip the corners a little, trim all the loose threads. And again, this could all be serged or covered with a nice binding to really give it a finished look. The nice thing about that fusible interfacing, if it gets trimmed right to the edge, the fabric won't fray, so it does help have a little bit of a clean finish without having to do a lot of extra stitching around the sides. Okay, so here we have it. We're just going to flip it right side out. And if we did everything right, it should look pretty good. So we've got a nice rectangular base here. I'm just finger pressing that seam to give it a little bit of structure. And we'll flip that right side out here. And then as you can see, we can zip this closed. And here we have that adorable finished backpack ready to be filled with some school supplies. So be sure to check out some of the free tutorials we have on Pixie Faire. They're tutorials to make school folders, different size books. You can do a variety of crafts and have your backpack full of cute little supplies too. And there you have it. We're done. It's adorable. I love how this turned out, and I'm super excited to share this project with you. And I know that you're going to have fun creating backpacks like this for your own collection.